Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Dharane Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Hey Krishna 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 Rakshama Krishna 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 Imam Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Imam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Rama Sri Madhusudana Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Apavitra Pavitro Va Sarva Avastangatopi Va Ya Smaret Pundarika Aksham Sabhaya Abhyantara Suchi Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Sri Vishnu Om Ajnana Tamarandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamahang Vande Sri Gurung Dinataranam Yat Kripatamahang Vande Parama Ananda Madhavam Trinadapi Sunichena Turar Iva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatir Anyata Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, today we're going to cover two sections, scene 6 and 7. First one is entitled On Meditation. The personified Vedas continue to offer their prayers. Those who are very materialistic and cannot understand the situation of the spiritual world cannot understand the abode of Krishna. For such persons, great sages have recommended the yogic process, whereby one gradually rises from meditation on the abdomen, which is called Muladhara or Manipuraka meditation. Muladhara and Manipuraka are technical terms which refer to the intestines within the abdomen. Grossly materialistic persons think that economic development is of foremost importance because they are under the impression that a living entity exists only by eating. Such grossly materialistic persons forget that although we may eat as much as we like, if the food is not digested, it produces the troubles of indigestion and acidity. And Dr. Vashishta can give a whole class on that, since that was his expertise for dozens of years. Okay. Therefore, in itself, eating is not the cause of the vital energy of life. For digestion of eatables, we have to take shelter of another, superior energy, which is mentioned in Bhagavad Gita as Vaishvanara. The verse is found in chapter 15. Ahang Vaishvanaro Bhutva Praninang Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayukta Pachami Anang Chatur Vidham. Krishna says, I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, both outgoing and incoming, in order to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. So Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he helps the digestion in the form of Vaishvanara. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is all-pervasive. Therefore, Krishna's presence as Vaishvanara is not extraordinary. Actually, Krishna is present everywhere. The Vaishnava or devotee marks one's body with temples of Vishnu. He or she first marks a tilak temple on the abdomen, then on the chest, then between the collarbones, then on the forehead, and gradually one marks the top of the head, the Brahma Randra. The 13 temples of tilak marked on the body of a Vaishnava are known as follows. Om Keshavaya Namaha. On the forehead is the temple of Lord Keshava. Om Narayanaya Namaha. On the belly is the temple of Lord Narayan. Om Madhavaya Namaha. On the chest is the temple of Lord Madhava. On the throat, between the 2 collarbones, is the temple of Lord Govinda. O Govindaya Namaha. On the right side of the waist is the temple of Lord Vishnu. Om Vishnave Namaha. On the right arm is the temple of Lord Madhusudana. Om Madhusudanaya Namaha. On the right side of the collarbone is the temple of Lord Trivikrama. Om Trivikramaya Namaha. Similarly, on the left side of the waist is the temple of Lord Vamana. Om Vamanaya Namaha. On the left arm is the temple of Sridhar. Om Sridharaya Namaha. On the left side of the collarbone is the temple of Rishikesha. Om Rishikeshaya Namaha. On the upper back, the temple is called Padmanabha. Om Padmanabhaya Namaha. On the lower back, the temple is called Damodara. Om Damodaraya Namaha. And finally, on the top of the head is the temple called Vasudeva. Om Vasudevaya Namaha. So this is the process of meditation on Lord Krishna's situation in different parts of the body. But for those who are not Vaishnavas, great sages recommend meditation on the bodily concept of life, such as meditation on the intestines, on the heart, on the throat, on the eyebrows, on the forehead, and then on the top of the head. Some of the sages in the disciplic succession from the great saint Aruna meditate on the heart because Krishna as Supersoul is also staying within the heart along with the living entity. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter, wherein Lord Krishna states, Sarvasya cha aham hridi sanivishto. I am situated in everyone's heart. For the Vaishnava, the protection of the body for the service of Lord Krishna is a part of devotional service. I would like to repeat that because I find that significant. So it was just stated. For the Vaishnava, the protection of the body for the service of Lord Krishna is a part of devotional service. But those who are gross materialists accept the body as the self. They worship the body by the yogic process of meditation on the different bodily parts, such as Manipuraka, Dahara, and Hridaya, gradually rising to the Brahma Randra on the top of the head. The first-class yogi who has attained perfection in the practice of the yoga system ultimately passes through the Brahma Randra to any one of the planets in either material or spiritual worlds. How a yogi can transfer oneself to another planet is very vividly described in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. In this regard, Shukadeva Goswami has recommended that the beginners worship the Virata Purusha, the gigantic universal form of Lord Krishna. One who cannot believe that Lord Krishna can be worshipped with equal success in the deity or archa form, or who is unable to concentrate on this form, is thus advised to worship the universal form of Lord Krishna. As such, the lower part of the universe is considered the feet and legs of Lord Krishna's universal form. The middle part of the universe is considered the navel or abdomen of Lord Krishna, The upper planetary systems, such as Janaloka and Maharloka, are the heart of Lord Krishna, and the topmost planetary system, Brahmaloka, is considered the top of Lord Krishna's head. There are different processes recommended by great sages according to the position of the worshipper. But the ultimate aim of all meditational and yogic processes is to go back home, back to Godhead. As Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Mam upetya punar janma dukkhalayam ashasvatam napnuvanti mahatmana sangsiddhim paramangata. Anyone who reaches the highest planet, the abode of Krishna, or even the Vaikuntha planets, never has to come down again to this miserable material condition of life. The Vedic recommendation, therefore, is that one make the lotus feet of Vishnu the target of all of one's efforts. Therefore, there is a Vedic mantra, Om Tad Vishnu Paramang Padang. Vishnu Loka, or the Vishnu planets, are situated above the material planets. These Vaikuntha planets are known as Sanatan Dham, and they are eternal. They are never annihilated, not even by the annihilation of this material world. And so the conclusion is that if a human being does not fulfill the mission of his or her life by worshiping the Supreme Lord and does not go back to Godhead, then it is to be understood that one has simply been frustrated in fulfilling the main purpose of human life. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, next we have scene number 7, entitled Param Atma and Eka Rasa. The next prayer of the personified Vedas to Lord Krishna concerns Krishna's entering into different species of life. It is stated in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Yonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavanti Ya Tasang Brahma Mahad Yonir Ahang Bija Pradapita. That is to say, in every species and form of life, the spiritual part and parcel, Angsha, of the Supreme Lord is present. Lord Krishna claims himself that in the Gita, he is the Ahang Bija Pradapita, the seed-giving father, for the word father here is Pitta, and seed-giving Bija Prada. He is the seed-giving father of all forms and species. And so therefore they must all be considered sons or daughters of Lord Krishna. Now, at the same time, the entrance of the Supreme Lord into everyone's heart as Param Atma sometimes bewilders the impersonalists who think in terms of the equality of the living entities with the Supreme Lord. They think that because the Supreme Lord enters into different bodies along with the individual soul, then there is no distinction between Lord Krishna and the individual living entities. Their challenge is, why should the individual souls worship the Param Atma or Super Soul? According to them, both the Super Soul and the individual soul are on the same level. They are one without any difference between them. That is the misunderstanding of the Mayavadis or impersonalists. Because there is a difference between the Super Soul and the individual soul. And this is explained in the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, wherein Lord Krishna says, Sarvasya chahang hridi sanivishto matak smitir jnanam apohanang cha. Krishna is situated with the living entity in the same body. However, Krishna is superior. Why is that? Because it is Krishna who is dictating to or giving intelligence to the individual soul from within. It is clearly stated in the Gita that Lord Krishna gives intelligence to the individual soul, and that both memory and forgetfulness are due to the influence of the Super Soul. No one can act independently of the sanction of the Super Soul. Therefore, the individual soul acts according to his or her past karma, having been reminded by Lord Krishna. Because the nature of the individual soul is forgetfulness, but the presence of Lord Krishna within the heart reminds us of what we wanted to do in our past lives. The intelligence of the individual soul is exhibited like fire in wood. Although fire is always fire, it is exhibited in a size proportionate to the size of the wood. Similarly, although the individual soul is qualitatively one with the Supreme Lord, he or she exhibits him or herself according to the limitations of one's present body. But that is not the same for Krishna, because Krishna is able to exhibit his full potency in any body he accepts or demonstrates. We learned this right from the start when we were in Vrindavan and the first demon, Putana, came to kill Krishna by smearing poison on her breast. At that time, it was stated that Krishna was only 1 or 2 months old. And yet, Krishna knew who Putana was, even though she disguised herself to look like the goddess of fortune. Krishna could see through her demoniac disguise, and although Krishna was only a month or 2 old, he sucked out the milk and the life air of Putana witch. So whether Krishna is a baby or whether Krishna is 120 years on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, the form of Krishna in no way limits his potency. Like us, however, we exhibit our potency depending on, first of all, what kind of body we have and the age of the body. So there are limitations, but Krishna's body, there are no limitations. The Supreme Lord, or Paramatma, the Supersoul, is said to be Eka Rasa. Eka means one, and Rasa means mellow. The transcendental position of the Supreme Lord is that of eternity, bliss, and full knowledge. Krishna's position of Eka Rasa does not change even in the slightest when Krishna becomes a witness and advisor to the individual soul in each individual body. We are reminded of this in chapter 13 of Gita, very early, where Krishna points out that the individual soul is the knower of its own field of activities. The field of activities is one's own material body. So Krishna pointed out early in chapter 13 that there are two knowers of the field. It's called Kshetrajya, knower of the field. So I know my body, you know your body, but I don't know what's going on in your body, and you don't know what's going on in my body. But then Krishna said, but I am the knower of each and every individual body. So that is the difference between God and the living entity. Our consciousness is limited to our body, but Krishna's consciousness is everywhere. He knows everyone. The individual soul, beginning from Lord Brahma down to the ant, exhibits his or her spiritual potency according to one's present body. The demigods are in the same category with the individual souls in the bodies of the human beings or in the bodies of lower animals. Intelligent persons, therefore, do not worship different demigods who are simply infinitesimal, not infinite, infinitesimal representatives of Krishna manifesting in conditioned bodies. The individual soul can exhibit his or her power and potencies only in proportion to the shape and constitution of the body. Meanwhile, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, can exhibit his full potencies in any shape or form without any change. And that is another reason why he is known as Eka Rasa. On the other hand, the impersonalist Mayavadi philosophers' thesis that God and the individual soul are one and the same cannot be accepted because the individual soul has to develop his or her power and potencies according to the development of different types of body. Just as a dog can only act as a dog, we as human beings act as human beings. The dog cannot attend this Krishna book class because the development of potency is hampered in the body of a dog, but consciousness in the human form is sufficient to understand the science of God. The individual soul in the body of a baby cannot show the full power and potency of a grown man. But the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, even when lying on the lap of his mother as a baby, could exhibit his full potency and power by killing Putana and other demons who tried to attack Krishna. Therefore, the spiritual potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is said to be Eka Rasa, or without change. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the only worshipable object, and this is perfectly known to persons who are contaminated by the force of material nature. In other words, only liberated souls can worship the personality of Godhead. Less intelligent Maya bodies take to the worship of demigods, thinking that the demigods and the Supreme Personality of Godhead are on the same level. Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Gopala Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya, Radha Ramana Hari, Govinda Jaya Jaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So I pick up from this last statement. Mayavadis take to the worship of demigods, thinking that the demigods and Krishna are on the same level. So I begin my purport by quoting from the Padma Purana. Yastu Narayanang Devang Brahma Rudradi Daivatai Samatvenaiva Viksheta Sapashandi Bhaved Dhruvam. So, according to the Padma Purana, a person who considers demigods, even Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, to be on an equal level with Narayan, such a person is considered a Pashandi, an offender or atheist. This verse was quoted by Lord Chaitanya during an incident when Mahaprabhu was touring Vrindavan. At that time, after visiting various forests and ghats, Lord Chaitanya went to Gokula and then finally returned to Mathura. Seeing a great crowd in Mathura, Lord Chaitanya moved his residence near Akrura Ghat. And from there, Lord Chaitanya went every day to Vrindavan to see Kaliya Hrada and other holy sites. One morning, many people came to Akrura Tirtha. As they came from Vrindavan, they made a tumultuous sound. And upon seeing Lord Chaitanya, all the people offered respects at his lotus feet. Lord Chaitanya asked them, "So where are you all coming from?" The people replied, "Oh, you don't know. Krishna has again manifested himself on the waters of Kaliya Lake. Indeed, Krishna dances on the hoods of the serpent Kaliya, and the jewels on those hoods are blazing. Everyone has seen Lord Krishna himself. There is no doubt about it. Upon hearing this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu began laughing. Lord Chaitanya then said, yes, everything is correct. For 3 consecutive nights, people went to Kaliya Daha to see supposedly Krishna, and everyone returned saying, "Oh, now we have seen Krishna himself." Everyone came before Lord Chaitanya saying, "Now we have directly seen Lord Krishna." Thus, by the mercy of Saraswati, the goddess of learning, actually they were made to speak the truth. For when they saw Lord Chaitanya, they were actually seeing Krishna. But because they were following their own imperfect knowledge, they accepted the wrong thing as Krishna. At that time, Lord Chaitanya's servant, Balabhadra Bhatta Acharya, placed a request at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu, saying, "Oh my Lord, please give me permission to go see Lord Krishna directly." When Balabhadra asked to see Krishna at Kaliya Daha, Lord Chaitanya mercifully slapped him. Lord Chaitanya said, "You are a learned scholar, but you have become a fool, being influenced by statements of other fools. Just consider, why would Krishna appear in the age of Kali? Foolish people who are mistaken are simply causing agitation and making a tumult. Do not become mad. Simply sit down here. Tomorrow night, you will go see Krishna." Then, the next morning, some respectable gentlemen came to see Lord Chaitanya, and the Lord asked them, "So, have you seen Krishna?" These respectable gentlemen then replied, "At night in Kaliya Lake, a fisherman lights a torch in his boat, and he catches many fish. From a distance, people mistakenly think that they are seeing Krishna dancing on the body of Kaliya's serpent. These fools think that the boat is the Kaliya serpent, and that the torchlight are the jewels on Kaliya's hoods. People also mistake the fisherman for Krishna. Actually, Lord Krishna has returned to Vrindavan. That is the truth. And it is also true that people have seen Krishna. But where they are seeing Krishna is their mistake. It is like considering a dry tree to be a person." Lord Chaitanya then asked the gentleman, "So, where have you seen Krishna directly?" The people replied, "No, you are a sannyasi, a renunciant. Therefore you are Jangama Narayan, moving Narayan. You have appeared in Vrindavan as an incarnation of Krishna. And just by seeing you, everyone is now liberated." Lord Chaitanya immediately exclaimed, "Vishnu! Vishnu! Do not call me the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A jiva, a conditioned soul, cannot become Krishna at any time. So do not even say such a thing. Yes, a sannyasi in the renounced order is certainly part and parcel of the complete whole, just as a shining molecular particle of sunshine is part and parcel of the sun itself. Krishna is like the sun, full of 6 opulences, but the living entity is only a fragment of the complete whole. A living entity and the absolute personality of Godhead are never to be considered equal, just as a fragmental spark can never be considered the original flame. Then Lord Chaitanya quoted from the Vedas, Ladinya Sangvid Ashlishta Sachit Ananda Ishvara Swavidya Sangvito Jiva Sanklesha Nikarakara. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Controller, is always full of transcendental bliss and is accompanied by the potencies known as Hladani and Sangvit. The conditioned soul, however, is always covered by ignorance and embarrassed by the threefold miseries of material life. Thus, the jiva is a treasure house of all kinds of tribulations. Thus, a foolish person who says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is exactly same as a living entity is an atheist, and thus one becomes subject to punishment by the superintendent of death, Yamaraj. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlad Ahlad Dayane, Hiranya Kashi Purvakshaha, Shilatankana Halaye, Ito Narsingha Parato Narsingho, Yato Yato Yanitato Narsingha, Bahir Narsingha Hridaye Narsingho, Narsingham Ading Sharanam Prapadye, Tavakara Kamalavare, Nakam Adbhuta Sringam, Dalita Hiranya Kashipu Tanubringam, Keshavadrita Narahadi Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Keshavadrita Nasingha Rupa, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadish, Jaya Jagadisha Hare, Hare, Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Om Tat Sat.